Shalom. I like to bid a shalom to the bride of the Messiah, a shalom to the 144,000, and a shalom to the nation of Israel. For you, O Israel, you are the bride of Yahuwah, and Yahuwah is the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Shalom. Today I bring you a word regarding someone that mostly the world knows about, but don't truly know him. For if they can see him and how he works, the world will not have fallen for his great deception. So the title of this word today is Satan, also known as Ahiah. Know thy enemy, the hidden one behind the scene. When you go to the book of Revelation 9, it refers Satan to as the dragon, a serpent, a devil who deceived the whole world. It also goes on to say that this principality, this serpent, the dragon, shall make war with the seed of Israel who keeps the commandments of Yah. And we can see that forthcoming based on the signs in the heaven and in the earth. When you have a chance, I want you to read Revelation chapter 12. Read the whole chapter, because what we're about to go on today is going to give you a greater understanding of what the King James 1611 Bible was telling us. Which brings us to this. When you turn to the Wisdom of Solomon, it is located in the Apocrypha. For the chapter summary in chapter 2 of Wisdom of Solomon, it says this: the wicked think this life short, and of no other after this. Therefore, they would take their pleasure in this and conspire against the just. What that is, which do blind them. So, the thing that should stand out to you is, when we look at verse, let me see here, verse 21. What that is, which do blind them. Okay, I want you to meditate on that, because everybody in this lifetime right now, in the world that we're in now, they are very blind and very distracted, and many don't know why. Why is this? And the Bible do tell us why, but sometimes we don't make a connection in what the Bible is telling us. Okay, so when we go down to verse, let me see where we're going to start at. We're going to start with verse 22. As for the mysteries of Yah, they knew them not, neither hope they for the wages of the righteousness, nor discern a reward for blameless souls. Now that verse you want to highly meditate on. Okay? You want to highly meditate on. When we've been reading the Still Book of Mormon, as well as the Bible, because these mysteries are foretold in the Bible as well, and with the book of Mary Magdalene, the beloved companion, she gives the testimony of Yahusha HaMashyach. Yahusha HaMashyach is the Son of God, the second Adam, and he is the anointed one. For his name means, I am he that saves or delivers. Okay, so when we look at verse 22, I want you to meditate on it. You see, it says that as for the mystery of God, Adam, mankind, knew them not, because they didn't know these mysteries. It caused them not to hope for the wages of righteousness. See, we know the words told us that we're going to be rewarded for righteousness. We're going to be rewarded for overcoming. When you have a chance, go to the channel and watch the let me go first. Go to the channel and watch this video on our fellow sister, loved one's dream. Love for All had a dream, y'all. And it's going to touch base about that reward. Okay? You have a chance on that. Right? So there's a reward for the righteous, but those who do not understand the mysteries of God, the mysteries of Yah, they're not going to have that hope for righteousness. Do you hear that, O bride of the Messiah and 144,000? Okay? It also goes to say, nor do they have the discernment, okay? They don't have a discernment regarding the reward for blameless soul. For especially when you read the book of Revelation, it points out of those who was killed that was innocent by the wicked hand. And we know those who are innocent shall be rewarded greatly. Okay? Something to meditate on. But let us keep going reading. Verse 23. For Yahuwah created man to be immortal and made him to be an image of his own eternity. That's another verse you want to meditate on. For the precept for verse 23 is Genesis 1:26, 27, and Genesis chapter 5 verse 1, and Ecclesiastes chapter 17 verse 3. And I believe this Ecclesiastes is in the book of the Apocrypha, known as Ben Sirach, or son of Sirach. Okay? So verse 23 is telling you who Adam really is. And many are missing the most important thing on where they came from or what descended they are of. Because the words say here that our Father in heaven made us. But, there's a but here, but they don't understand how he made us. He made us to be immortal. And because he made us to be immortal, he also made us to look like him in his own eternity. See, again, go back to Genesis and meditate. Also with the other scriptures that talks about the creation of Adam. Because many are not understanding the image of Adam, the image where it comes from, because it says here that he was to be made in the image of Yah's own eternity. So what did that mean? Now are you beginning to understand what I'm saying, that to understand the end, you must first understand the beginning. To understand the what's yet to come, you must first understand the what was and the what is. To understand what yet to come shall bring. Because we are going back to our Creator original plan in the way that He made Adam to be. That is the greatest reward that the bride of the Messiah and the 144,000 shall receive. The greatest. But many missed it. But we'll also on say in verse 24, nevertheless, through envy of the devil came death into the world, and they that do hold of his side do find it. So now we begin to see of the hidden one who's been working behind the scene, who has caused the fallen man and has been going on ever since. But because that man has changed from immortal to mortal, from incorruptible to corruptible, they cannot see. Okay, so now we're going to the Sealed Book of Mormon, and we're going to read about Ahiah, known as Satan. All right. Also, in your spare time on the channel, this will be added to the playlist. Know thy enemy. Okay. We must know our enemies. All right. And when you know thy enemy and how thy enemy works, you will be better to equip yourself, because the word teach us we cannot bring down these principalities by our hand. Only that Holy One. that seed that we carry in our bowels, that is written in 1 John chapter 3. Only him can overcome and conquer the devil. So this is why it's so important for you to understand who you are dealing with, because my sister and I yesterday, we was talking, and now that the Father has woken me up to many things, I begin to understand those who are my families and friends and even the strangers. I begin to understand that a lot of times it is these wicked spirits and Satan speaking through them to get to me. And I'm going to have to give y'all a testimony. I can even tell when that spirit is speaking. This is why what the word taught me, you have to rebuke that spirit. Or we rebuke that spirit and saying, in the name of Yahusha HaMashyach, I rebuke you, Satan. And sometimes sometimes I'm talking to that spirit, the vessel that is allowing that spirit to use them get confused because they say, well, I'm not Satan. I say, I know you're not Satan, but you're giving an ear to Satan, and that's the one I'm rebuking. When you speak that in the authority of Yah, in faith, you will see a change. Some reason that person do a 360 on you. But I'm a witness of that. I can tell when that spirit is speaking. Okay. Now, let us go. I forgot to do this little piece because we're reading a book. Get this part right. Now, let us go to the Sealed Book of Mormon. Check the video description box. Click on the link. But we are going to chapter 3 today. And chapter 3 is located on page 25. For Satan, we have a total of, we're going to read up to verse 27, and then we're going to skip to verse 49, because today we're just going to focus on the enemy. And then in the upcoming word, I will bring you what I truly want to talk about, for it reveals and it will touch on the image of Adam, the image of Yah in his eternity. That's the thing I want to talk about. But first, we have to know our enemy first. So now let us begin. And if you hear some paper run in the background, that's me with my notes, because y'all know me, I take notes, I highlight and I underline. So now let us begin. Chapter 3. Having been Moses called up from the principal, saw the angel Ahiah become miserable, and proposed to himself that all humanity will also be miserable just as he. Do y'all hear that? You know the old saying, misery love company. Let us go on to read. And with that began to lie and deceive the first parents of mankind, Eve and Adam, succumbed under the influence of this evil being that was a spell of heaven. Adam received the priesthood of the Son of God, and with him the law of the priesthood and the promise about his righteous seed after him. But those who are new to this channel or to this word, we are reading from the Sealed Book of Mormon. The Sealed Book of Mormon will teach you that the gospel of the Messiah had existed since the beginning, and it started with our father Adam, and it was passed down. And the book will also teach you that this church was established in the earth. However, because of mankind and their heart, they was not ready for his church. Read the book to hear the testimony of why this church was removed from the earth. and why Israel was given the lesser priesthood, which shall bring forth the greater priesthood. Read this testimony to understand these things. For the time has come for these books that are sealed to be unsealed, for you to know the whole truth. Through this book it shall deliver you from the precept of men, from their traditions, and from their lies. Now let us continue. I'm sorry. Yep, I did skip something. So Adam received the priesthood of the Son of God, and with him the law of the priesthood, and the promise about his righteous seed after him. Abel fulfills the requirement required by law, by how much Cain is induced for priestly tricks and commences, and comments false worship among his fellow men. Abel becomes the first prophet to seal with his blood his work on earth. Self is born and spread the gospel and the priesthood through his offspring. So what we have read in the prior chapters, we learned that the church was called the Church of the Son of God in Zion. Okay, and we know that the priesthood was established after the order of Melchizedek, and we also know that the church was established after the order of the Enochian, or after the order of Enoch. Okay, now we shall read the chapter. Verse 1. It so happened that Moses was caught up on a mountain extremely high, and came to Mount Zion in heavenly Jerusalem. There is proof, my brothers and sisters, there is a Mount Zion in the heavens. It is in the King James 611 Bible. There's two areas you can find this. It's in, I believe it's First Ezra chapter 13, or maybe Second Ezra chapter 13, and I think it's Hebrews chapter 12. So Moses was taken up to the heavens and to go to Mount Zion, okay, in the heavenly Jerusalem, and attained knowledge of all things that were from the beginning, began to record what he saw and heard in the sealed book. Do y'all hear this? So Moses was allowed to see these great things. So he began to record what he saw and heard in the sealed book that was found by Ahiah, together with the book of the law, in the days of Josiah, king of Judah. And Lehi brought into this land beyond the sea, in order to preserve its record for future generation of priests of the holy order of the Son of God, in the fallen part of the fullness of times. So Hilkiah was the high priest in the days of King Josiah, and Lehi was in the kingdom of Judah, but he was of the tribe of Joseph, okay, of the tribe of Joseph. And the father had ordered him to bring these sacred books over to a land that's beyond the sea. That land beyond the sea is Osiris. Today, the heathen call it the New World, known as North America, South America, Canada, Mexico, and their islands. Okay, that is the land where he brought it to. And over in that land is where you have the 10 lost tribes, the northern kingdom. Again, you have to read 2nd Ezra chapter 13. Also, there's another passage that will prove what I'm saying to you in Torah. You have to read Deuteronomy 29, and you have to read, I think it's either Deuteronomy 33 or 34, because that's a prophecy regarding to the lineage of Joseph, what he would do with his kingdom. Okay, again, remember the two sticks. Both of them have a part in the gospel of spreading this gospel. There's some history behind this on how it was done by God's hands. All right, so now we already are aware that we are in the fullness of times, and now we begin to understand the original priesthood that we shall enter into. Okay, verse 2. It was then that Moses passed to be in a great universal meeting, in which Ahiah the angel, whose names mean brother of Yahuwah, greater leader, who covered in his expansion the class of anointed cherubim, chief commander of the flaming stones, until the day he was deposed from his office, and the supervision of heavenly visits to the sons of man was delivered to the angel Gabriel, who commanded them for by the too much generations of Israel when they was walking by the circuits of the heavens. Do you see this? Israel steps was ordered by the circuits of the heavens. What that mean? Go back to Genesis chapter 1 verse 14. Also, we get the original name of Satan before he fell. His name is Ahiah. I know some people may reference to the other Hebrew name or what they address the father, but according to this name, it means the brother of Yahuwah. And we don't have the original text to compare how it's truly written. So before running with things, I highly suggest that you seek Yah to inquire, the truth for all things. But in this tongue, in the English tongue, that is how it's pronounced, Ahiah, okay, which means brother of Yahuwah. All right, let's keep going to read. I'm going to pick back up right here. Israel, when they was walking by the circuits of the heavens, which chariots of fire visit the prophets of God, full of wisdom and proceeding from the highest caste of the order of the star Dava, had full access to Mount Zion, until the day he overturned the old covenant and vehemently accused the great Yahuwah of usurping the right of free will in all beings created by him in the vast expanse of the universe. For how much he himself came seeking to destroy free will of man from the beginning. So do you see what Satan does to the Father? He accused him of something that he's actually doing. Okay, because it said here, he accused our Father in heaven of usurping the right of free will in all beings created by him in the vast expanse of the universe. For how much he himself came seeking to destroy free will of man from the beginning. So it was actually Satan doing this, but he accused our Father of that. Okay. Also notice that his position is giving you what his position in the heavens. So he had full access to Mount Zion, okay, until the day he returned the old covenant. All right. So as we read further, we're going to see what that means, because it's going to give you understanding with Genesis, with the book of Job, with the chapter of Ezekiel, chapter 28. Because remember, this principality works through the Most High tabernacles or vessels of clay. He works through Adam. Okay, and we can see that. Also, it will give you understanding about Judas, the aristocrat, who betrayed the Messiah. When you read the gospel, you will learn that before he did this wicked act, Satan entered into him. So this is what I'm saying unto y'all. A lot of y'all is just looking at the being or the person or the creature, because even with the serpent, the serpent was a creature by the Most High Yah, but you're not looking at who is the one who had convinced the creature to do the wicked act, the hidden one. Okay. Also, the Father's bringing this to my attention. When you read the book of Job, you begin to understand about this meeting place where this sons of God met. Okay, so we're about to go on that now. So in verse 3. And so because he had been full of pride and vanity, highlight that, y'all. Full of pride and vanity, because the same thing with him would be the same thing with his children. Also, the Father reminded me, this is why he is compared to the creature Leviathan. Okay, and we know, for those who have read the books or the chapters or the verses that was taken out the Apocrypha, we know the day is coming that Leviathan will fight against Behemoth. Okay, like I said, a great battle is coming between good and evil. So as we go on to read in verse 3, we know that he is the angel of pride and vanity, and we will see the same thing take place upon his children. Okay, so he had been full of pride and vanity, he had been full of pride and vanity, assumed an air of gander, and came to desecrate his own wisdom by supposing in his heart that he would be accepted by God in the highest and immaculate cradle of creation. After a rising appreciation of a vast multitude of followers, first of those whom he led astray in the heavens and then on earth. So now we are seeing that sin started in heaven first. He led away he led away a group of angels in heaven. And this can be confirmed also by the prophet Enoch in his first, second, and third book. You can read about that as well. And then he came on the earth and he did the same thing. All right, let us go on to read. And so he longed to return to the holy mountain of the meeting. And that's the part you want to highlight. What's the holy mountain of the meeting? Mount Zion. Okay. And to take his place among the council of the heavens, which are above the holy angels in the likeness of God, but beneath the sovereign Lord, the Almighty, which cannot overrule the ordinance established by him in the heavens, of that the dominions of the earth will be in subject to his son Ahiah. Now notice how Satan is addressed as a son. Remember, there are sons in the heavens, there are sons in the earth. So the angels are also known as the sons of God too, as well. And notice that the position that he has given unto Satan, because the Father said, because like I said, the Father has certain laws and stuff that he follows. So he goes on to say, which cannot overrule the ordinance established by him in the heavens. So you're going to begin to learn that each angel is given a certain sign or position in the heavens as well as in the earth. Okay. Of that, the dominions of the earth will be in subject to his son Ahiah. Remember, this is giving us the description or the position of Satan's office before he fell. Okay, what he was in charge of. All right. When did even before the foundation of the world that it was given the dominions of the kingdom of mankind, and with that he came to be in Eden, the garden of God. So we now know that he was the angel, the overseer of the earth. All right, that was his position, verse 4. Being that man hath been created in the image of God, reflected in itself its divine attributes, namely love, wisdom, creative potential, and justice, and have also been created according to its likeness, thus attaining characteristics similar to the image of his creator, coming to be an immortal creature, by how much was subject to themselves all creatures that move in heaven, on earth, and in the sea. But they have been commanded to fertilize and fill the earth and to expand the boundaries of Eden. Now, this verse, you do want to highlight and make a note. We'll be coming back to that verse to expound on it in the upcoming word regarding the image of Adam. Okay? So take this time now to pause your screen to read that verse, but note we will come back to that verse in the upcoming word. Now we're going to read verse 5. Verse 5. But it came to pass that Ahiah, when he sought to do that which was evil before Yahuwah, was cast out of the highest and immaculate cradles of heavens, yea, from the holy mountain of God to heavenly Zion. Do y'all hear that? You want to highlight that. Heavenly Zion. So he was cast out of the highest and immaculate cradle of heavens. Yes, it's let us know from also what other points, from the holy mountain of God to heavenly Zion. Okay. However, he had not yet been expelled from the heavenly realm. So it's going on to explain he does have still access to the heavens. And you can see that in the book of Job. You can also see that in the book of the prophet, I think it's Zechariah, where he accused the high priest Joshua of some things. It's there. And you can also see that in the book of Jude when the archangel Michael is talking to him. Okay. However, he has not yet been expelled from the heavenly realms, since he periodically made himself present at a universal meeting in order to present a report of his administration concerning this world, which was under his dominion. Okay? So, that's one of his jobs. He still go back and report. Verse 6. Therefore, it was at the beginning of human history on earth that after falling from his high position in the heavens, he became wretched before the children of God, and thereby proposed himself in subjecting all humanity to being unable to fully enjoy its free will, and thus condemned him to the same misery and decay that have been condemned. Again, misery love company. So it's giving you the history now of Satan, how he became to look the way he did. Okay, and look what he wants to do to Adam. He wants them also to be miserable, just as he is miserable. Again, misery loves company. Verse 7. So that old serpent went on to deceive his brethren who lived with him in the heavens, and so soon became an opponent to God's plan for this world. See, do you see what I'm saying? What I said in the beginning of this video, remember, we're going back to Yahuwah's original plan that he had for us. But now we begin to see the angel of his son, Satan is his son, of him going against his plan. Okay? It happened then that he went on to deceive the first human couple, still in Eden, the paradise of God, coming to become the father of every lie, and so was called devil. So now you begin to understand why he was called the devil, because he's the father of every lie, and because he deceived our foreparents, Adam and Eve. Also, you want to highlight the paradise of God. What is the paradise of God? It is the Garden of Eden. Kind of remind you or give you a hint of what the Messiah was telling unto the thief, was telling the thief that was on the cross with him. You shall be with me in paradise. Okay? Do y'all see these mysteries being revealed? That's why we have to take our time and read the word. Okay? Verse 8, it was then after Adam and Eve had succumbed to the wiles of the devil that God proceeded to curse them. For before they lived on a higher level on the spiritual plane. Let's see, is this the part I'm supposed to stop at, y'all? I think this is the part I'm supposed to stop at. Let me make sure. Yep, this is the part I'm supposed to stop at. I don't want to get to this part. I'm sorry, it's not verse 1 through 27. It's verse 1 through 7, y'all. But I want to stop at this part because the next part we're going to talk about, that's the part I want to discuss with y'all, which will go in the hand of what I've been preaching unto y'all for several years. But what we're going to do, we're going to go down to verse 49 so we can read the other part about Satan that many may not know. So we'll go to verse 49 and we'll go to page 34. Okay, verse 49. Happened then that after Cain deliberately disobeyed the guidance of Yahuwah and consequently declared Abel, that Yahuwah cursed him, saying, While Abel justifies my plan in the land to have righteous descendants of the priesthood in relation to my offspring, you, Cain, justify the offspring of the original serpent, Satan the devil, for he became a perdition to the sons of men. Do y'all hear that? Satan became a perdition to the sons of Adam, for he is wiser than you to deceive you, because this one was full of wisdom before there was Eden, because he existed even before the foundation of the world. So we already know that the angels was created way before mankind. Okay, the book of Jubilees will expound on that as well. All right, and also we see here that Satan has now become a perdition to the sons of men. Right, but the thing that most people don't understand, that he is very wise. Okay, for it goes on to say, because he was full of wisdom before there was Eden. This is the part you want to highlight, understand, because he existed even before the foundation of the world. Now, in one of the paragraphs that we read earlier, let me see, can I find that paragraph? Had touched on that a little bit about how wise he is, which makes you want to meditate on what the Messiah said. He said, what? Be wise as serpents, but harmless as doves. When you understand the nature of a serpent, which is often compared to Satan, they are very wise creatures. Okay, this is why you cannot defeat the children of Satan. not on your own. You must have the Holy One, the sacred seed in you, to know how to deal with them. For their true ultimate goal is to bring you into their misery, to take away your free will, to imprison you. Okay? That is what they truly do. So they are very crafty on how they can lure you into a trap, which will cause you to transgress against Yah, which will cause you to lose that holy seed that's in you. I'm telling y'all. So this is why there are times, sometimes we have to hold our tongues when it comes to them. Sometimes we have to know what to say unto them, because they are very crafty in what they do. Now I'm trying to find that verse that talks about the wisdom of him. Here it go. It's in verse 3. Okay? In verse 3 of chapter 3. Let's go back to that. So take this time now. As you see, he was a very wise creature. Very wise. Okay? So now we're going to go back to page 26. And look at verse 3. And so, because he had been full of pride and vanity, do you see what take place? So, pride and vanity came in his heart. Okay? So, because he was prideful and because he was full of vanity, he assumed an air of grandeur and came to desecrate his own wisdom. Okay? So, because of pride and vanity, he desecrated. That means he defiled his own wisdom. Let's look at that word. I want to make sure I use it right. Okay, desecrate means okay. See as a verb. So the English definitions for this is to treat a sacred place or thing with violence. With violent disrespect. Violate, to violate. When I hear the word desecrate, it also reminds me of to take something that is sacred and holy and to defile it with uncleanness. That's what desecrate remind me of. I'm trying to see if we get a better definition for this. Let me see. We go to this one. Desecrate. To violate the sanctity of, they got the word profane. Okay. To treat disrespectfully, irreverently, or outrageously. So basically, again, here goes the synonyms. I was on point. Thank you, y'all. It is to defile. It is to profane. It is to violate. Because he was a holy, sacred being unto Yah. But because of pride and vanity, he desecrated himself. All right. And he thought by what he was doing. When we look at verse 3, he thought by what he was doing that he would be accepted by Yah in the highest and immaculate cradle of creation. So he thought by what he was doing, he would be accepted by our Father in heaven. But y'all know the story. He was rejected. Okay. And then another thing to meditate on, I often meditate on things. If you notice that our Father in heaven is willing to forgive Adam, but not Ahiah. He's not willing to forgive him. And when you meditate on this, you begin to understand the Father's ways and his thoughts. See, the Father knows his creations. He knows them very well. And he can see what's truly in Satan. And whatever the Father has saw in Satan, this is why Satan must be be punished. This is why he cannot be forgiven. For whatever the Father saw within him, he knew that Satan would not repent and that Satan would not change. So the Father is a righteous God. Okay? Because he knows his children. Like we know our children. We know what our children would do. We know what child can be saved and what child cannot. Well, that's the same thing with our Father in heaven. He knows his children. But he can see their hearts. Okay? So now I hope you have the understanding about our enemy. Because I remember what I read in those sacred books, what this principality, what this angel told our father Adam. He told our father Adam that I will cause your seed to war against one another. And we can see that being fulfilled this day. And even Moses, he saw him in Pharaoh. He saw the hidden one. Read Exodus chapter 12 and Hebrews 11. And you will see what else came out of Egypt. It's there. Because the same thing is here in Babylon, America, the whore that sits upon the beast. We had every foul bird, every wicked spirit is here. Okay? I went just a little bit too far. All right, I hope you enjoyed this word as I did. Take this time to meditate because now you begin to understand you cannot defeat this wicked one, not by your hand. The only way to defeat him, to overcome him, the second Adam set the example. So as all things were set up in the beginning, you must receive him. If you don't receive him, you are powerless. And because you do not have the power, which is Yah, the Son, and the Ruach HaKodesh, which is the Holy Spirit, the seven eyes and the seven spirits of Yah, because you don't have them, you will not be able to overcome Ahiah, Satan. And Satan knows this. Until you are able to truly understand who you are and what the hidden treasure is inside you, for the kingdom of heaven is inside you, until you understand that and how to connect to it, you are defenseless and powerless. Take this time now to meditate, to pray, and read His Word to understand how our Father in heaven had this set up. Now you begin to understand the prophecy why the Messiah is the only one that can defeat him and that can cast him into the bottomless pit. And then you begin to understand why our Father in heaven is the only one that can destroy him completely and cast him into the lake of fire eternally. He's the only one, our Father. For our Father made him. Therefore, our Father can destroy him. And now you begin to understand how this wicked one is able to deceive mankind, because he's very good at what he do. Very good. Now you begin to understand when you see the uproar of the people, you know who's working behind the scene. But at the same time, it will work out to the good of Yah. Yah is in control of all things. Remember, they think they can go left or right, or north or south, or east or west. No matter what direction they go, our Father will come forth, and it will be done in the earth. And good will overcome the evil. Shalom. Continue to preach the word that the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Make sure the people receive salvation as written in Romans chapter 10. And baptize the people in the name of Yahusha HaMashyach. For the Lamb set the example of the water baptism and the Holy Spirit baptism, and the apostles continue them both. And when you have a chance, go to the channel and look at the playlist of Know Thy Enemy. Also the playlist with the Sealed Book of Mormon, and the playlist with the Rapture Doctrine, the Mystery of the Eagle Wings, the Saints Becoming White, Mary Magdalene Testimony, and many other things. But it's time for you to come to know the truth. Do you hear me, O bride of the Messiah? And to the 144,000, and to the nation of Israel. It is time for you to know the truth and to understand these biblical prophecies. Okay, I said enough. Shalom.